when we spoke about having Rich Rod's office tapped, Noah, maybe he has maybe he's watching the podcast, maybe he's watching the YouTube, maybe he has us tapped too. When we were talking about Michael Hawkins and Scotty Fox yesterday, I said it doesn't matter because, we still need help. Offensive line, receiver. I think I doubled down and said receiver twice. Well, guess what, Noah? Today's point of emphasis in the transfer portal was a big-time receiver and 2 plug-and-play guards on that offensive line. 3 players, Noah, 3 takes. Let's get after it. So let's obviously start with, you have to start with somebody nicknamed Manchild, right? I think that's only right to start that avenue. Terron Francis, 4-star recruit coming from LSU. You don't hear that very often for West Virginia's sake, receiving a LSU transfer, Noah. There's some ties here. He played with John Johnson, I believe another receiver on the team coming in. I don't believe he's already here. And maybe there was one more. So maybe that had a little bit of a factor in his decision. The one thing that I'm going to kind of talk about, and then I'll let you give your take on Manchild Francis, is when you, and I applaud him for this decision, right? When you're looking at opportunity from a 4-star at LSU, and I don't have to sell you on Jamar Chase, Jefferson, Jarvis Landry, Odell, the list goes on and on. That's a prolific wide receiver school. In my opinion, wide receiver U over Ohio State. I'll live by that statement. For him to see the opportunity that is in this room, right? We know that it's very bland. Honestly, no, as of right now, like Jaden Bray, really the only returner, right? We've added Epps, obviously, Stockton, the 2 JUCO guys, Trickett, and I can't remember the other one's name. Sorry, I'm blanking. Yeah, it's all right. But an open room, Noah. So I compare it to this, right? If you were getting recruited for basketball as a point guard, right? And a coach sits you down and says, hey, I have no point guards on roster, okay? I'm recruiting you to come in. I'm recruiting 2 other point guards to come in equal to your talent. Best player wins. That's the sort of gamble that you have to take on yourself to say, all right, I'm in. Let's go. I'll take this opportunity. I'm going to run away with it. This is going to be my room. I'm going to be the alpha in this receiver room. And I think that Francis has a chance to do that, Noah. This guy's talented. He's young. And I want to say this too. This is a perfect place for him. Let's be honest. When you are coming from LSU to West Virginia, okay, we know that you kind of have a sense of wanting to get back to that level, right? SEC, Big Ten, whatever it may be. So I for one, am fully okay if he comes here, has a 1,100, 1,200 yard season, 6, 7 touchdowns, no pun intended, and transfers back. But no, what's your take on this, man? This is, in my opinion, like Hawkins, like Cam Cook, pretty big get, but pure potential, no production.
Just for the viewers, Kedrick Triplett was the guy we were missing there.
Thank you.
Receiver. But yeah, Terron Francis, Manchild, I guess that's just weight. I mean, just a freak, right? The connection there, Juwan Johnson, I believe. John Johnson. Yeah. So not LSU, from Louisiana down there. I think New Orleans is where that high school is. Rich Rod gained a connection with them, I believe, down there when he was coaching at Jacksonville State with their head coach. And that's kind of where the tie comes in. I'm sure that his head coach, and you don't really think about this much, but when these freshmen, this was a freshman receiver this year at LSU, so he's only 1 year out of high school. He might have not gained that much of connection with that coaching staff, especially with it blowing up down there, right? So during the portal, when the portal comes back open, he's probably talking to his high school coach again, like, hey, do you have anybody in mind? You have any place in mind? And West Virginia pops up here, and thank God it did, right? Big receiver. I think he has the ability to step right into the X row in this offense. I know Stockton.
Stockton, yep.
Yeah, Stockton, our other receiver we grabbed from USC, kind of another big frame receiver. So I guess you could throw Manchild at the Z, but it's never a problem to have 2 big threats that are just athletically imposing to the defense, right? Like you said the other day in the video, and I think this is something that people really need to do. When Rich Rod's offense is firing, it's going to create a lot of one-on-one opportunity for these big receivers, and let the most athletic guy win on the outside, and that's something that West Virginia looks like they have sustained here with these 2 guys.
Coming out of high school, Noah, he chose LSU over offers from Florida State, Georgia Tech, Marshall, Michigan, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, who is currently playing right now as we speak, Texas A&M, Troy, and several others. So obviously talent is there. It's a matter of what does it look like on the Power 4 level. I think you could find a really good fit here at West Virginia in the Big 12 in this offense, which you just mentioned, right? When things are flowing, you're going to have your opportunities one-on-one down the field to make stuff happen. And it's kind of yet to see the player that he's going to be at this level. But I think that he can carve out a role. This isn't, maybe we're wrong, Noah. Maybe the players like DJ Epps, the JUCO guys, are really the ones that we need to be focusing on as far as like carving out a big role in this offense. And maybe we get blindsided by the fact that this is LSU, because mind you, Noah, the last player that came from LSU was Chemo. And, let's just say we have higher hopes for this transaction, right? We have higher hopes for this LSU player transferring in. Talent's there, I believe. The role, I should say, the opportunity is there for the talent to kind of shine through. So we'll see how it goes. This was obviously a big get the day after we posted the video, so had to talk about it. And then Noah, let's talk about some guards. 2 offensive guards committing in. It's like vegetables, right? You don't love to talk about offensive line, but you got to have it, right? You got to eat your vegetables. In this case, Noah, maybe they were like asparagus or like something really good seasoned. You cooked it in the skillet or something. I'll let you talk about these 2 guys who are plug and play from day one, automatic upgrades from what we are accustomed to seeing last year outside of our guy, Haslam. Shout out Haslam.
Yeah, Haslam was a very good component there to the offensive line when he was allowed to get on the field there. Don't know what happened, but that's last season, so we're not going to hit on it there. Wes King and Devin Voss, I believe I'm saying that last name correct, 2 guys that have played football, right? And that is what we missed last year. We didn't have guys that played a lot of snaps, and that showed, right? That was evident when you watched us. The guys didn't know exactly what they were doing, and that's okay. You're going to have that whenever you take swings, especially getting the portal late. But what these 2 guys do bring is a lot of experience, and neither of these guys, right? And I'm going to say this because I called my buddy, who's a big avid Mountaineer fan too, Isaac, and he says these guys haven't let up a sack since Pee Wee football, and it's the damn truth. These guys have not let up a sack in their collegiate career, either of them. Wes King, I think he's been a 3-year starter at Wyoming, so you're going to get him for 1 year. Very, very solid. Obviously, you're going to have to see how that transposes to the Power 4 level, right? We know there is a jump up in talent in the defensive line that you're going to play. But Devin Voss is a guy that's got it done in the Big 12. Didn't get to start till I think week 4 of last year. But if you do remember, right, Kansas State struggled for the first 3 weeks of the season. So week 4, he's inserted after an injury and soaks up the starting line spot, and he didn't let up a sack all year. Obviously, you're not getting the best pass rushers. You're not the tackle going against the defensive edge. Getting these guys, the linebackers blitzing and stuff. But these guys are very, very important, especially to someone that wants to run behind those guards, hit things quick, get there. And you're not going to see that problem this year. I promise you, if there's one thing that Rich Rod addressed in this portal with these 2 guys, is you're going to be able to get this much, Gage. You're going to be able to get this much.
I believe that was his offseason goal, and that's what he's trying to accomplish. Let me ask you this before I kind of wrap things up with my final thought. Rick Trickett, how much comfortable are you with him assessing talent and saying these are the guys that I want for my offensive line compared to last year? And I know that, the portal started later for us last year, money, things like that. We didn't necessarily get the full cream of the crop to choose from, but Bicknell and kind of the struggles that we had in that area, like where are you at on a confidence scale of like 1 to 10 in these upgrades and just the trust that you have in Trickett right now?
Let's be completely honest here, Gage. If there's any place I'm like 100% comfortable that Rich Rod doesn't have to touch on evaluation of talent is Rick Trickett. Assessing this offensive line and what he wants, right? Because, you heard it in that video that he speaks about. You're going to know when a Rick Trickett offensive line lines up. From the way they come off the ball to their stance, you're going to know, right? That's what he says. And it's simple as that, Gage. You are going to know. He knows what his offensive line he wants them to look like. And I think what you're going to see with these 2 guys is they are the aggressor on the offensive line. So, some guys, and I think that was last year half the problem, guys didn't completely understand what they were doing. And when you don't understand what you're doing and what your assignment is on the offensive line, it's hard to play aggressive because you're playing with, that little thought in the back of your head. Am I doing this right? Am I doing this right? these two guys right here, I think that's where they're going to thrive, right? They're going to be the first guy off the ball. When that snap count hits, hopefully the center goes off first. But right after that, these guys are going to be the first guys to make that pop on the offensive line. I think you're going to see Cam Cook really, really thrive behind these guys. And hopefully, keep the pressure off Scotty or Michael Hawkins, whichever decides to win out that job.
My final take, as we sit here, it's halftime of Ole Miss versus Miami. It's easier. It's easy for teams like West Virginia and really any other team that didn't make the college football playoff or a big time kind of bowl game to be excited for the transfer portal, right? To be excited for acquiring these talented guys and stars and everything like that. But I feel like as Mountaineer fans, we have to remember none of this matters until things get put onto the field, right? It's easy for us to sit here, 4-star receiver from LSU, and I'm just using him as an example. None of it matters unless it translates to wins. And in this case, optimism that maybe you and I, we were a sucker for last year for this team, but optimism tells me that this time around, this offseason, things are a little bit different. Maybe it's just because he's had more time. I really think the extra money that we have saved is coming into play right now with some of these guys. Both the recruiting class, Kevin Brown, Matt Sieg, Latimer, things like that. Like I can see the money is finally talking and working. But the ultimate goal, Noah, around this time of the year, probably a little bit before New Year's and stuff, is to be excited to play games. Not excited for what are we going to do in the transfer portal? What are we going to do here? Who's leaving? Who's this? Who's that? The ultimate goal for this program, let's not get blindsided by that. The ultimate goal is to be playing in big time games, playing for Big 12 championships, competing, okay, for national titles. There's a difference between flat out saying, Ohio State's of the world, contenders year in, year out, winning the national title. We understand where we're at right now and things. But my overall kind of message, this hopefully is one of the off seasons where we can look back and say from this point on, things changed under the Rich Rod 2.0 era. This was when he was able to bring in talent and kind of just, no, let's be honest, navigate this Power 4 transfer portal as a head coach. Like, this is the first time he's been in this situation as a head coach with the NIL kind of running rampant right now. And I really think that he's doing a tremendous job right now. I don't think people are giving him the credit that he kind of deserves. I think that it's so easy to just kind of sit back and just kind of observe and not really understand the thought and hours of preparation, film watch that goes in to all this, bringing players in. There are teams right now, Noah, aren't doing anything. They're not getting better. They're not being aggressive. And they're not doing anything, right? So I just kind of wanted to give praise and props right there. And for fans to also remember that the ultimate goal, I'll say it one last time, the ultimate goal is to be playing games in late December, early January, right around this time period. So that's kind of my final thought. I know that we're still, a little bit away from that, but you never know, Noah. I still hold a lot of optimism. That Arizona State team with Levitt and Scadaboo and stuff really kind of spoiled me in the Big 12, I think. But yeah, what are your thoughts there on my take, and we'll kind of wrap it up?
Yeah, I think you're 100% correct. I mean, we can get any guy we want here, but the thing is, it has to develop into wins, right? And you're not saying you don't need West Virginia to go out and win every game next year and be undefeated and compete for a national championship. That's not what you're saying, and I hope fans realize that. What you're saying is, you have to take a step. This is your year. This is your first year where you've been able to navigate the transfer portal. Now you have your guys. You need to get to a system where you can win. And the thing is, what wins will translate to is retention of some of these guys that you brought in, and we're so happy that you brought in. That will give you the ability to say, hey, stay here. We were 2 games out of the Big 12 title race. Hopefully we're in the Big 12 title race next year, but we were 2 games out last year. If you stay, right, then we can really get this thing done this coming year with a little bit more of addition of portal, our recruits that are going to get a little bit older, obviously seasoned in this thing. I mean, that's what I think a lot of people miss too, is that because the transfer portal's right after, not right after, but pretty close to signing day, you kind of overlook that West Virginia had one hell of a signing class as freshmen. I know they always can't play, but when you pair these two together, it's pretty obvious to me that Rich Rod said, look, we're going to get some underclassmen that we think can produce right now, junior college guys that can produce, and we're going to fill the holes with the transfer portal. And that's what it seems like he's doing right now, Gage. Hopefully the defense, we get a few more defensive signs some cornerback safeties, those type of things. But right now, I mean, we are looking really, really good on paper. I think top 10 recruiting class as of
Top
right
10
now.
recruiting class,
Transfer
for
portal class.
transfer portal class for sure. Yeah, you said it best, my friend. Make sure you guys leave a comment, thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff, and show some love. We by the time you're watching this, there'll be a basketball video posted as well. So make sure you go leave some love on that. We'll talk some hoops as well. So hey, appreciate you guys watching, man. Leave a thumbs up, comment, all that good stuff. We'll see you in the next one.